Today, Intel downgrades this, the 13900K demolishes Ryzen, Nvidia is desperate to sell GPUs, and RX 8000 is set to revolutionize the industry. Welcome everyone to Gamer Meld. First up for today, I have a bit of an update on Intel's 14th gen Meteor Lake CPUs. If you remember in my last video, there was a story going around by TrendForce that claimed Intel recently delayed their next gen Meteor Lake chips. They got this thanks to an order change to TSMC from Intel. If you didn't know, Meteor Lake's iGPU was set to be built on 3nm, while the CPU itself would be built on their Intel 4 process. Well, after that report dropped, Intel quickly made a statement that Meteor Lake would in fact be coming this year. Of course, the report didn't really claim it would come next year anyway, so that seemed odd. Well, it looks like we may have an explanation that's a bit different. According to a new tweet from known leaker One Raichu, his source claims that Meteor Lake won't in fact have N3 parts, that those wouldn't come until the follow-up Lunar Lake and Arrow Lake. Basically, Meteor Lake looks to have gotten a downgrade. Originally, we expected the iGPU to come with 192 execution units, and another user on Twitter mentioned that it went to 128 on TSMC's 5nm node, at least for mobile with 64 on desktop. Now, I will say that while Raichu is a very trustworthy leaker, I'm not sure who this is, but regardless, things are beginning to make more sense. Intel's change in use of TSMC's N3 node isn't a sign of delay, instead it looks to be a change in process. Of course, it's bad news regardless, but this at least makes more sense. Now, we all know computers are the future, whether that's as our own little butlers or taking over the world and sending a mechanical monster back in time to ensure the leader of the resistance isn't born. Regardless of the way things go, one thing is for certain, you need to learn how they think. And there's no better place to do that than this video's sponsor, Brilliant, the online learning platform that was built to teach the STEM field. And they have amazing courses like their Introduction to Neural Networks, where you can learn how we teach computers to learn. So you can one day program your own butler or make yourself useful to our artificial overlords. What I really love about Brilliant is that they teach you by having you actually do it yourself, which is the best way to learn. And when you visit brilliant.org/gamermeld, you can try it out for free. Plus, the first 200 of you who sign up with my link get 20% off the annual premium. Once again, that's brilliant.org/gamermeld. Next up, we have a huge story on Intel's 13th gen Raptor Lake CPUs. This story also comes from One Raichu, who shared two Cinebench benchmarks for Intel's upcoming 24-core 32-thread 13900K. One benchmark utilizes the CPU's power limited settings, while the other uses the unlimited power setting. Both are technically default settings, meaning there isn't any overclocking done. One just has a limit to the power it can draw, which is around 250 watts, while the unlimited power setting gets a peak power draw of a whopping 345 watts. With that said, under that unlimited setting, Intel's CPU got a huge performance boost. The single core essentially stayed the same of course, but its multi-core score went all the way up to a whopping 40,616 points, and that makes it an unreal 67% faster than AMD's Ryzen 9 5950X. Ultimately, the unlimited setting saw a 13.8% improvement over the limited version, but for 100 watts more. And obviously that's a big difference in wattage. In the end though, Intel's next-gen CPUs are looking really impressive. In fact, they look positioned to potentially beat out AMD's Ryzen 7000. But, and this is a big but, while Raptor Lake may end up the performance king, we may be looking at nearly double the power draw for just 10 to 20% faster performance. And some may find that worth it, while others may not. Of course, this is just a guess based on what we've seen so far. We'll have to wait and see when these are released. And for news on that when it happens, make sure you're subscribed to GamerMeld. Next up, it looks like Nvidia and their board partners are beginning to get desperate to sell GPU stock. If you've been following the channel, you know that GPU prices have been falling fast, along with the rumors that Nvidia is postponing their RTX 4000 launch to sell off the extra 30 series stock they accumulated after the recent crypto crash. Well, in a new story from Tech Power Up, EVGA actually slashed their 3090 Ti cards to nearly half their original price. In fact, we're looking at a whopping $1,000 off the MSRP. As you can see here, the lowest GPU got down to $1,150. Now, unfortunately, one is sold out and the other seems to be back up in price a bit, but it's clear that GPU makers aren't selling anywhere near the cards they were before. And according to Red Gaming Tech, AMD may be postponing their RX 7000 GPUs to November for the same reason. At the end of the day, it's clear that the crypto mining crash, along with upping production, has finally made things into a buyer's market. Time will tell just how low it can go. And lastly for today, while talking the leaker Red Gaming Tech, he actually shared a really interesting story on AMD's RDNA 4 GPUs. So that would be the RX 8000 series. Now, obviously the RX 7000 cards aren't even out yet, so this is very preliminary information. A lot can change, but AMD is certainly working on their next gen cards right now. For starters, it looks like they're set to support GDDR7, which given the release date, that isn't surprising. Next, in terms of performance, they are apparently set to be a massive jump, just like their RX 7000 cards are expected to get. So potentially yet another 50% performance per watt increase, yet again. And remember that a 50% performance jump over the RX 7000 is an even bigger jump than the 50% from RX 6000 to 7000, given your starting point is higher. Next, he goes over clock frequencies, which are expected to be even higher than the 3 GHz of the RX 7000. But the most interesting part though is from AMD's acquisition of Xilinx for $49 billion. According to Red Gaming Tech, RDNA 4 could come with a reprogrammable custom block, meaning they could take silicon that was made to work with one type of core, work with another, or at least something along those lines. He doesn't go into much detail, but it's obviously early on for the tech. From what I understand, it would ultimately let AMD scale products even easier than what they have now. This would likely bring down the price similar to the way chiplets have done for Ryzen. The target release date for their RDNA 4 cards is late 2024 to early 2025, so obviously it's a ways off. All in all though, it's clear that AMD isn't done revolutionizing hardware, and at least potentially, the best is yet to come. So while that does it for today, are you pumped for the future of GPUs? And what's the best price you've been able to buy a new card for right now? Let me know down in the comments below. And make sure to visit brilliant.org/gamermeld to stop the impending AI apocalypse. And as always, have a great day.